Hello everyone, today I'm going to show you an experimental feature in Dirigible that we are working on. It explores some interesting features of both Dirigible and NativeScript's iOS runtime. What we are basically going to do now is generate a mobile application that opens a web view with the web app we developed in Dirigible. The special thing about this web view is that it is going to have access to native APIs thanks to the NativeScript runtime. I created a simple web page with just a button and a label that will be populated with a device name, if opened on a mobile device of course, or a browser if it's open on browser, and this label will be populated when the button is tapped. This is done by a similar to JavaScript workers interface implemented in the Xcode template. To get the model from the native API, I just checked the Apple docs because NativeScript allows us to call them directly. Here you can see the UI device class and its shared device instance and its model, localized model. This is what we will call in our NativeScript code. Here it is. So this will be our mobile app later. For the time being, I added a new option in the project's right button menu, Export iOS App. What it does is calling an endpoint in the transport project REST service, which will execute a Node.js script that does all the work for creating the app files. I attached the debugger so you can see better what is going on. Now let's click on Export iOS App. Here we go. You see the endpoint takes the preview and project parameters, which we use for constructing the app URL. This URL will be opened by the web view in our iOS application. Let's talk about the app. I created an Xcode project template that has NativeScript framework embedded as some boilerplate code. What it does is setting up the web view message handlers for the two-way communication between NativeScript runtime and the web view context. When the URL is loaded, I inject a script which is basically the NSWorker class. And it has pretty simple interface. Let's check it. Here is the NSWorker class. It has three methods. The postMessage method will be used to send a message to the NativeScript worker. Simply said, it is just a JavaScript code which will be executed in the NativeScript runtime. Execute method is called right after the constructor and runs the script that we passed as a parameter. Terminate will kill the worker, and on native message is called when a message is posted from the NativeScript runtime. It needs to be overridden in the main context, so we get the result from our worker execution. Now, when we are familiar with the Xcode template, let's explore the Node.js script that builds it. You can see it is a simple command line application with only one command, generate. It takes a URL as a parameter, and this URL will be our Dirigible app preview URL. Now let's go through the project creator's create project method. Its job is to replace the app URL placeholder we have in the Xcode project viewcontroller.m file and then build the app, for which we are going to use the Xcode build command line tool. There is a link to the repo in the video description if you want to play with the code. The script will produce build artifacts in the build folder that we are going to zip in the REST service and send back to the Dirigible user. Then there is the app file that can be loaded in the simulator. Let's go back to the REST service. Here you can see the process builder with the node script I'm calling and the zipping logic here when the script is done. So when I resume the execution, the Xcode build will start, and when it's done, the REST service will archive and send the zip with the response. When a build is done, I save it locally and then unzip it. Let's open the iOS simulator. So we need to install the app on the simulator now, and the app will be in the Release of iPhone Simulator folder now. Here it is. I install it just by dragging it. And now when it's running, if I tap on the button, I will see the device name below. And here it is. Thank you for watching.